guy by the name of Tiger Woods. I don't know if you heard of him. But he basically brought athleticism into the game and completely changed it. So guys like my brother, who was a professional, a pro running a course, played college golf. I mean, he could get away with hitting it 230 off the tee and, had great success. And now guys like you are coming in and it's so physical. Tell us a little bit about that grind and the commitment and some of the challenges physically that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, like you say, it's definitely become a more athletic sport. I mean, everybody's hitting the ball further. Everyone trains a lot in the gym. A training consists of sort of 6 workouts a week, and they're tailored a little bit and change a little bit, obviously, between off weeks and tournament weeks. But it's tough because we'll be playing. Like I played in Abu Dhabi earlier in the year or last year even, and we do it in Celsius, but it was pushing 40 degrees every day. So, you're out there in the heat playing golf and it was slow. So you're sort of out there for 6 hours in that heat. And then, some guys, like myself that week, I didn't play great. So I went out and practiced a bunch in the afternoon and it takes a lot out of you. And then you throw a workout on top of that. So having something like the PRS or the RX is a big advantage for me because I can use that in the evenings to sort of get the body recovered for the next day. Because, so, a lot of guys on the PGA Tour obviously have ice baths and everything at their disposal, but a lot of the time we don't have that. So having something like this where I can just take it with me just gives me a big advantage because I know that if I am tight, if I am sore, if something's giving me a bit of an issue, I can just throw it on and I haven't got to worry about it going into the next day.
That's great. So it is, we like to say it is probably one of the best kept secrets in athletics, in sports, because, quite frankly, it's a differentiator, if you will. And we're starting to see that on the NFL level and all these other professional sports that, once one guy in the locker room has it, it's amazing how quickly this spreads. Tell us a little bit about, how you got exposed to it and when you started using it, and was it for a specific injury?
So no, initially, I was staying with Chip Turner down in Naples. I believe it was 2020. And obviously he was using the PRS every day. Okay. Every morning he'd have it on and I was, interested and he was telling me everything about it and obviously what goes on with it. And I've got a little bit of scoliosis in my back, but when I would train legs and then practice all day, at the end of the day, my lower left back would always get very tight. Just a bit of discomfort, a bit of pain, but a lot of tightness. So he gave me his PRS to try out while I was there for the few weeks. And it was, within the first sort of 30 minutes of using it, the discomfort went away. So I was able to get one. And then, I've used it. I use it every morning since. I've not had that discomfort since using the PRS. I still get a little bit of fatigue, but I know that as soon as I put it on, it's going away. So that was sort of how I started using the PRS. The RX I started using 2 years later, I think it was. Again, I wanted to see if there was anything else I could do to improve getting loose, improving my back, making sure there's no issues there. And obviously when you scan through, it was in the legs than it was in the back. And obviously, playing golf, walk a lot, out in the heat all day. So the legs are being used a lot more than you would think. So since having done that work on the legs, it made a big improvement. And then, that made it even better.
Do you ever use it for the blood flow as well? I know you're using it for muscle contractions, but just getting blood flow, like the background wave?
Yeah, I use the PR. So whenever I fly, no matter how long the flight is, but obviously I always have the PRS on when I fly. And I've just kind of worked out my own system. So if the flight's 2 hours long, let's say, I'll do 30 minutes of contraction and then 45 minutes of sort of blood flow. I'll take like a 10-minute break in between maybe. On the really long flights, like, when I went to South Africa last year, it's a 12-hour flight. So I put it on for 45 minutes, turned it off for an hour, and then I put it on blood flow and just left it on until it obviously ran out of charge. So it was on for 8 hours basically to keep me loose because I'm quite tall, I'm quite big, and those planes haven't got tons of room.
I know.
So it just helps keep me loose. So it's been massive from a travel standpoint. And then after I get done, so tournament days, I'll use the PRS. Well, tournament weeks, I'll use the PRS 3 times a day. So I use it first thing in the morning for contraction. I'll use it post-round or post-practice, depending on practice or tournament day, and I'll do blood flow. And then in the evening, I'll do a mix of the both.
Tell us a little about pad placement and some other areas that you've had taken advantage of, both the PRS and the RX.
Yeah, I use the PRS everywhere during a tournament week. In the mornings, I generally go lower back, just because that's the area I know that I need the most attention on. But for example, once last year, I woke up sleeping on a hotel bed and my neck was stiff. So I put the pads, 2 on the shoulders, 1 on the back, 40 minutes in the morning just to loosen it up, and it solved it straight away. But in the evenings after tournament day, I will do feet, calves, hamstrings, IT bands, quads, lower back, mid back, upper back, and neck generally.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through the whole body. But yeah, I mean, I use the PRS. RX, I use the RX more if I can tell my body's fatigued, if something's aching, or so I have used it everywhere, but the RX will be more situational, whereas the PRS I'll just use all the time, regardless of whether it's sore or not, because I know it's helping me be ready for the next day. So
can you explain to like where those hot spots actually were and how it actually did improve your low back, even though it wasn't actually on the low back area?
The spot was probably 4 or 5 inches below the glute in the hamstring on both sides. And then it was sort of mid thigh, but on the inside, kind of where the boxer line would come. So those are 2 areas, those are my 2 hot spots for my lower back when obviously I was searched or scanned.
And it's interesting. And you still got improvement from your low back on those 2 placements.
Yeah, it was, I didn't have discomfort because of the PRS, but my range of motion changed dramatically, which was, that's massive really when you think how much sort of movement and motion you need in golf, and it completely took it away. So, and then obviously, last year I had quite a bad back injury, sort of mid-season, did it working out, just kind of came out of nowhere and put the RX on immediately for a week. I mean, I couldn't move for like 2 days, but I had the RX on doing whatever I could. By the end of the week, I flew to the next tournament to play. I wasn't 100%, but I wouldn't have been anywhere near able to play had I not had the RX there. But I took the PRS with me and obviously, got me through the week. But I was told to go and work out at the end of the week, did that, and it actually made my back worse. And flew home and kind of thought that my season was going to be done, to be honest with you, because if I hadn't got the PRS, I wouldn't have been able to drive. It was a 3-hour drive from the course to the airport. I don't think I'd have made it to the airport, because I just was in so much pain. But I had the PRS on for the whole 3 hours, like just cranked all the way up. Got home and then used the RX. I mean, I was using it up to twice a day, basically, for the next 10 days and was good to go then. I was like normal. It was pretty remarkable because how quickly it can work.
Have you had any feedback from other players that see you with this unique device?
Yeah, everyone asks. I mean, I have the logo on the bag as well, so it gets a bit of conversation. I think a lot of people don't understand until they use it, which is the biggest thing, because I explain it and they're like, oh, it's like a TENS unit. I'm like, no, it's nothing like a TENS unit. So until I think they use it, they don't realize what it can actually do. But everyone seems interested and intrigued by it.
Maybe you can explain golfer's elbow versus tennis elbow. It seems to be a little bit different.
Yeah, so it's more going to be on the medial portion of the elbow, whereas tennis elbow is more the lateral. And I mean, treated very similarly. It's just a matter of surrounding that area. Usually a hand bath will be successful for both of them. Pad placements kind of vary, and we do have videos sort of explaining the 2 of them. Yeah, it could be a long process without this technology. Using it, we've seen it kind of clear up pretty quickly.
It sounds like you've had an incredible journey through this process. I can speak on behalf of all the ARP Neural team that we're so glad that you found this technology, that you're using it, and that it's helping you on a daily basis. We're always here for you. If you have any questions or pad placements or need anything, you can always get us live or at info@arpneuro.com. We can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to spend 30 minutes with us to share with our audience a little bit about your experience using the RX and the PRS. And we wish you absolutely all the best in your career.
Absolutely. Have a great 2024, OJ.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.